Right now, as you're watching this, your mind is probably spinning through 50 different thoughts. What you said yesterday, what you need to do tomorrow. That conversation you had 3 weeks ago that still bothers you. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Your mind is sabotaging your life and you're letting it happen. Most people spend their entire existence trapped inside their own heads, missing the actual life happening right in front of them. But what if I told you that the moment you stop feeding that mental chaos, everything changes? Not in some mystical way, but in a real, tangible way you can feel today. Look, we've all been sold this idea that thinking more leads to better decisions, that analyzing everything will somehow protect us from making mistakes. But here's what actually happens. We think ourselves into paralysis. We overthink until the simplest choices become impossible. Should I send that text? Should I take that job? Should I say what I really feel? And while we're stuck in this loop, life keeps moving without us. Today, we're going to break down exactly why overthinking destroys your peace, and more importantly, how stopping it completely transforms everything. This isn't about positive thinking or pretending problems don't exist. This is about understanding how your mind actually works and why letting go of mental noise is the most powerful thing you can do. Think about your average day. You wake up, and before your feet even hit the floor, your mind is already racing. You're rehearsing conversations that haven't happened yet. You're replaying moments from yesterday, editing what you should have said. You're projecting yourself into next week, next month, next year, trying to control outcomes that don't even exist yet. This is the trap. This is where most people live their entire lives. The problem with overthinking isn't just that it's unpleasant. It's that it fundamentally disconnects you from reality. When you're lost in thought about the past or future, you're not actually here. You're not experiencing this moment. You're not responding to what's actually happening. You're reacting to the stories your mind is telling you, and those stories, they're almost always worse than reality. Your mind loves to catastrophize. It takes a small worry and builds an entire disaster scenario around it. Someone doesn't text back immediately, and suddenly your mind has written a story about rejection, about what you did wrong, about what this means for your future. None of it is real. None of it is happening. But you suffer through it anyway because you've mistaken your thoughts for reality. Here's what makes this even worse. Overthinking creates the exact problems you're trying to avoid. You overthink a conversation, which makes you anxious, which makes you act weird in the actual conversation, which creates the awkwardness you were worried about in the first place. You overthink a decision so much that you miss the opportunity entirely. You overthink your relationships until you create distance where there was none. Your mind, in trying to protect you, becomes your biggest obstacle. And society reinforces this. We're told to analyze everything, to have a plan for every possibility, to think through every angle. We treat the mind like it's this infallible tool that just needs more data, more time, more processing. But that's not how it works. Your mind isn't designed to run constantly. It's designed to solve specific problems and then rest. But we never let it rest. We keep feeding it, keep engaging with every thought, keep believing that more thinking equals more clarity. It doesn't. The real challenge is that overthinking feels productive. It feels like you're doing something when you're worried about a problem and thinking about it constantly. You feel like you're working on it, but you're not. You're just suffering through it. There's a massive difference between thinking through something once to find a solution and thinking about something endlessly with no resolution. One is useful, the other is torture, the illusion of control through thinking. Let's start with why we overthink in the first place. At its core, overthinking is an attempt to control the uncontrollable. Your mind believes that if it just thinks about something enough, it can prevent bad outcomes. If you rehearse that conversation enough times, it'll go perfectly. If you analyze that decision from every angle, you'll make the right choice. If you worry about that future event enough, you'll be prepared for anything. But here's the reality. Life doesn't work like that. No amount of mental rehearsal prepares you for the actual moment, because the actual moment is always different from what you imagined. That person responds in a way you didn't expect. That situation unfolds differently than you planned. Life is fluid, spontaneous, unpredictable, and your rigid mental scripts can't account for that. When you try to think your way into certainty, you're fighting against the fundamental nature of existence. Nothing is certain, nothing is guaranteed, everything changes. And the more you try to nail things down in your mind, the more frustrated and anxious you become, because reality keeps refusing to match your mental models. Think about the last time you overthought something. Maybe it was a difficult conversation you needed to have. You probably spent hours, maybe days, thinking about what you'd say, how they'd respond, what you'd say back. You built this entire scenario in your head. And then what happened when you actually had the conversation? It went completely differently. All that mental energy was wasted because you were preparing for something that never happened. This is what your mind does constantly. It creates these elaborate simulations, these what-if scenarios, and then treats them as if they're real. You suffer through imaginary futures. You experience anxiety about things that haven't happened and probably never will. Your body responds to these thoughts with real stress, real tension, real discomfort, even though nothing is actually happening. The truth is, thinking about something doesn't give you control over it. Action gives you control. Making a choice gives you control. But endless thinking, that just keeps you stuck. It's the illusion of control. It feels like you're doing something, but you're really just spinning in place. And here's the deeper issue. When you're constantly trying to control outcomes through thinking, you miss the natural intelligence that arises when you're present. Life has its own flow, its own rhythm. When you're not locked in your head, you respond to situations naturally, appropriately. You say the right thing, not because you rehearsed it, but because you're actually there, reading the moment, feeling what's needed. This natural intelligence is always available, but overthinking blocks it completely. The mental habit loop that keeps you trapped. Overthinking isn't just random mental noise. It's a habit. And like any habit, it has a loop that reinforces itself. Understanding this loop is crucial, because you can't break free from something you don't understand. Here's how it works. Something triggers a thought. Maybe you see someone who reminds you of a past relationship. Maybe you get an email about work. Maybe you just wake up and your mind starts running. That's the trigger. Then comes the habit itself, the overthinking. Your mind grabs onto that initial thought and starts spinning. It asks questions. It creates scenarios. It analyzes and reanalyzes. And this feels like something, like you're engaged, like you're working on a problem. That feeling is the reward. It's why your mind keeps doing it. Your brain is designed to repeat patterns that seem rewarding, and overthinking provides a strange kind of reward. It gives you something to do. It makes you feel like you're addressing your concerns, even though you're not actually solving anything. It's mental busy work, and your brain has learned to crave it. This is why you can't just decide to stop overthinking and have it work. You're fighting against a deeply ingrained pattern. Your brain has associated thinking with problem solving, even when the thinking isn't actually productive. Breaking this association requires awareness, not willpower. The first step is recognizing when you've entered the loop. Most of the time, we're so identified with our thoughts that we don't even notice we're overthinking. We just are the overthinking. There's no separation between us and the mental chatter. But when you start to notice it, when you can catch yourself in the act, something shifts. You create a gap between yourself and the thoughts. This gap is everything, because in that gap, you have a choice. You don't have to engage with the thought. You don't have to follow it down the rabbit hole. You can see it for what it is. Just a thought, just mental noise, not reality. And when you stop engaging, the thought loses power. It comes, it passes, and it's gone. But here's where most people struggle. They think noticing the overthinking means they failed. They get frustrated with themselves for thinking too much, which just creates more thinking, more judgment, more mental noise. The practice isn't about stopping all thoughts. That's impossible. The practice is about changing your relationship with thoughts. Seeing them as passing events rather than truth. Your mind will keep producing thoughts. That's what it does. But you don't have to believe them all. You don't have to follow them all. You don't have to give them your energy. When you understand that thoughts are just mental events, not facts, not predictions, not requirements, they lose their grip on you. Think of your mind like a river. Thoughts are like leaves floating on the surface. When you overthink, you're jumping in and grabbing every leaf, examining it, worrying about it. But you could also just stand on the shore and watch them float by. The leaves keep coming, the river keeps flowing, but you're not drowning in it. What actually happens when you stop? Now let's talk about what changes when you actually stop overthinking. Not the theory, but the real lived experience of it, because this is where everything gets interesting. The first thing you notice is space. mental space. It's like you've been living in a cluttered room your entire life, and suddenly someone opens a window, you can breathe, you're not constantly processing, analyzing, figuring out. There's just room to be. In that space, something unexpected happens. You start noticing things you've been missing your entire life. The way light hits a wall, the actual content of what someone is saying, instead of just waiting for your turn to talk, the taste of your food, the feeling of your body. These aren't small things. This is your actual life, and you've been missing it because you were too busy thinking about life instead of living it. Your decisions become clearer, not because you're thinking less, but because you're thinking better. When you need to make a choice, you consider it once, properly, with your full attention. Then you decide. You don't spiral into endless analysis. You don't second-guess yourself into paralysis. You trust your intelligence in the moment, make the call, and move forward. And here's what's wild. Your decisions actually get better because they're based on clear seeing, not anxious projection. Your relationships transform. When you're not lost in your head during conversations, people feel it. They feel seen, they feel heard, and they respond differently. Connections deepen because you're actually present for them. That anxiety about what to say next, how you're being perceived, whether you're saying the right thing, it all falls away. And what's left is just genuine interaction. The chronic tension you've been carrying starts to release. You didn't even realize how much physical stress overthinking creates. Your jaw is clenched, your shoulders are tight, your breath is shallow. When the mental noise decreases, your body finally relaxes. You feel lighter, you have more energy, because you're not burning it all on mental spinning. Problems that seemed overwhelming start to look manageable. Not because the problems changed, but because you're not magnifying them with endless thought. You see them clearly, which means you can address them clearly. That thing you've been avoiding because it seemed too complex, when you stop overthinking it, you often find it's actually straightforward. The overthinking was the complexity. You sleep better because you're not lying in bed replaying the day or previewing tomorrow. Your mind actually settles. You can rest, and that rest compounds. Better sleep means clearer thinking, means less anxiety, means better sleep. The positive cycle starts. Your creativity returns. Overthinking kills creativity because creativity requires space. It requires the freedom to explore without judgment, without constant analysis. When you stop scrutinizing every idea before it fully forms, new possibilities emerge. Solutions appear that you couldn't think your way to. You become more spontaneous. Life becomes less scripted. You do things because they feel right in the moment, not because you've analyzed them to death. And this spontaneity brings joy. It brings aliveness, because you're responding to what is, not what you think should be. Fear doesn't disappear, but it stops controlling you. You still feel anxious sometimes, you still worry, but it's clean, it's appropriate to the actual situation. It's not this endless mental spiral about all the terrible things that might happen. You feel the fear, acknowledge it, and do what needs to be done anyway. People around you notice the change. They might not know what's different, but they sense it. You're more grounded, more present, more real. And that draws people in, because most people are lost in their own heads, desperate for someone who's actually here, the practice of returning to now. So how do you actually do this? How do you stop overthinking when it's such an ingrained pattern? The answer is simpler than you think, but it requires consistent practice. The core practice is returning to now. Every single time you notice you've drifted into overthinking, you gently bring your attention back to the present moment. Not forcefully, not with judgment, just a soft redirection. This is it. This is the whole practice. But let's break down what this actually looks like in daily life. You're sitting at your desk, and you notice your mind is spinning about something that happened last week. That's the awareness moment. The moment you notice, you have a choice. Instead of continuing the mental story, you bring your attention to something physical, the feeling of your body in the chair, the sensation of your breath, the sounds around you, anything that grounds you in actual sensory reality. At first, your mind will pull you back into thought almost immediately. That's normal, that's not failure. The practice isn't about achieving some thoughtless state. It's about the returning. Each time you notice and return, you're weakening the habit of overthinking. and strengthening the habit of presence. You can do this anywhere, anytime. You're walking and you realize you've been lost in thought for the entire walk. The moment you notice, you start actually seeing what's around you. You feel your feet on the ground. You notice the temperature of the air. You're having a conversation and you catch yourself planning what you'll say next instead of listening. You let go of that planning and actually hear the person. You're eating and you realize you've been thinking about work the whole time. You taste the food, feel the texture. This is the practice. The breath is your greatest tool here. Your breath is always happening in the present moment. You can't breathe in the past or future. So whenever you're lost in mental noise, coming back to your breath is coming back to now. Not controlling it, not changing it, just noticing it, feeling it move in and out. Another powerful practice is catching yourself in hypothetical thinking. Your mind loves to live in what-if land. What if this happens? What if they think that? What if everything goes wrong? The moment you notice yourself in a what-if spiral, you can simply ask, is this happening right now? Almost always the answer is no, and that no creates space. You can acknowledge the concern without living in the imaginary future. The same applies to past-focused overthinking. Your mind replays events, rewrites history, obsesses over what you should have done differently. When you catch this, ask, can I change this? No. Then return to now. This isn't about suppressing memories or pretending the past doesn't matter. It's about not living there when you have an actual present moment to experience. Physical activity helps immensely. It's harder to overthink when you're fully engaged in movement. This is why exercise, dancing, martial arts, even just walking with full attention can be so powerful. Your mind has to coordinate with your body. It can't spin off into abstract worry as easily. Simplifying your life reduces the triggers for overthinking. The more complex your schedule, the more commitments you have, the more your mind tries to manage it all. Creating space in your calendar creates space in your mind. Saying no to things creates room to be present for what you say yes to. And here's something crucial. You have to stop seeking the perfect mental state. Overthinking is often an attempt to think yourself into feeling better. But peace doesn't come from thinking. It comes from stopping, from accepting what is, rather than mentally fighting with it. Some moments will be easy, your mind will be naturally quiet, and presence will feel effortless. Other moments will be hard, your mind will be loud, and you'll feel like you're drowning in thoughts. Both are okay. The practice isn't about achieving a permanent state of peace. It's about knowing how to return to now, regardless of what's happening. Living beyond the mind's stories, the ultimate realization is this: you are not your thoughts. This isn't some philosophical concept. It's a direct experiential truth that changes everything. Your thoughts are events happening in your awareness. They come, they go. But you, the awareness in which they appear, are constant. You're the space in which thoughts arise and pass away. When you realize this, you stop being at the mercy of your mental content. This doesn't mean your thoughts don't matter, or that you should ignore your mind. Your mind is a useful tool. It's brilliant at solving practical problems, creating things, understanding complex systems. But it's a terrible master. When you identify as your thoughts, when you believe every mental story, you suffer unnecessarily. Living beyond the mind's stories means engaging with thought when it's useful and letting it go when it's not. It means using your mind rather than being used by it. And the marker of this shift is peace, not the absence of challenges or difficulties, but a fundamental okayness underneath it all. When you're not fighting with reality through constant mental commentary, life flows, not perfectly, not without pain or difficulty, but without the extra layer of suffering that overthinking creates. You face what's in front of you. You do what needs to be done, and then you let it go. This is freedom, not freedom from life's circumstances, but freedom within them. You could have the same exact life, the same problems, the same challenges, but experience them completely differently. Because the story you're telling about them changes, or more accurately, you stop living in the story and start living in the actuality. People often think that stopping overthinking means becoming passive or indifferent, but it's the opposite. When you're not trapped in mental noise, you can respond to life more effectively. You have access to a deeper intelligence that doesn't come from thinking, but from being. This intelligence knows what to do. It knows what to say. It It knows when to act and when to wait, but you can't access it when you're lost in your head. The most radical thing you can do is be here, fully here, not thinking about here, not analyzing here, just being here, because this moment is all there ever is. The past is memory happening now. The future is imagination happening now. Everything is always now. And when you finally land in now, you realize it's enough. You're enough. Life is enough. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're no longer at war with what is. So here's the moment of truth. Right now, as you're taking this in, your mind is probably already doing its thing. It's categorizing this information. It's agreeing or disagreeing. It's planning how you'll apply this, or it's dismissing it. That's fine. That's what minds do. But what if, just for a moment, you stopped? What if you put down the mental commentary and just were? Not trying to figure anything out, not trying to improve or fix or change, just being aware of the space around you, aware of your body, aware of the simple fact that you're alive. Right now, in this moment, nothing else is happening but this, and this is enough. This is what we've been pointing to this entire time. Not a concept to understand, but an experience to have, the experience of life without the filter of constant thinking. It's available right now. It's always available. You don't have to wait until you've mastered some technique or read enough books or figured everything out. You can just stop and see what's here when the noise quiets down. Everything we've covered comes down to one simple truth. Your life is happening now, and overthinking takes you out of it. The mind's constant chatter about past and future, its endless analysis and worry, creates a layer of suffering that isn't necessary. Life has enough real challenges without adding imaginary ones. When you stop feeding the overthinking habit, when you learn to return to the present moment again and again, everything shifts. Your decisions get clearer, your relationships deepen, your body relaxes, your creativity flows, you access a natural intelligence that thinking can't reach. And underneath it all, you find a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. This isn't about achieving some perfect mental state where you never think again. It's about changing your relationship with thought, seeing it for what it is, using it when it's helpful, letting it pass when it's not, and learning to live from presence rather than from mental noise. The practice is simple. Notice when you're lost in thought and gently return to now. Do this 1,000 times a day if you need to. Each return is a victory. Each moment of presence is your life actually being lived, rather than being thought about. You don't need to wait for everything to be figured out before you can be at peace. You don't need to resolve every problem in your mind before you can enjoy this moment. Peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the absence of unnecessary thinking about problems. It's being here fully, regardless of what's happening. If this helped, watch the next one.